So poops, if you're Malaysian, have been Malaysian, you probably know that there's a huge problem with Malaysia at the moment. Why are Malaysian citizens throwing away their citizenships? So poops, in the first 6 months of 2025 leading up to June 30th, over 6,000 Malaysians switched their citizenships over to Singapore. This follows, by the way, 16,930 last year, and which is up from 11,500 in 2023. Basically, our people are disappearing and they are disappearing fast. You know, you might think that this doesn't really affect you, but like it has for me. For me, my brother and my sister live not in Malaysia. I have uncles and aunts who have children who don't live in Malaysia, an entire set of sepupus who are happily living in Australia, and it seems that almost every single person out there who is young, who is able, is basically moving out of Malaysia.
It doesn't matter what race you are, apparently.
Unless, of course, you have a sort of generational business, in which case then, yeah, like, it's possible that you might stay here, but it's not common. In fact, I'm probably one of the odd ones out because I had a scholarship from our country and I'm not down to steal over $1 million. So I went right ahead and finished my scholarship bond here. Anyway, so why is this happening? I think the most obvious reason is that the money here sucks. Like, okay, if we're not comparing to, let's say, other ASEAN countries like, say, Indonesia, the Philippines, or whatever, fine, living in Malaysia is great. But the fact is that we are solidly in the middle income trap, which means, by the way, that some really productive people are moving away, and partly I can't really blame them because, I mean, maybe some of you saw this, but there was this advert recently, there was this recruitment drive recently featuring, like, Singapore coming to KLIA to a hotel nearby and literally trying to poach our doctors for 385k per year, even as Malaysia faces a doctor crisis. But you know, life is not all about money. I think that people who come back to Malaysia come back for a lot of different reasons. Like maybe it's for your family, maybe it's cause like you enjoy this flag right here, which thankfully is correct. And yeah, like maybe you just wanna go right ahead and stay back home in a place where you grew up with your family, your friends, whatever man, you do you. But honestly, when I look at Malaysia right now as a Malaysian citizen, I can actually see like some ways beyond money that Malaysia is taking a turn for the worse. So this brings me to reason number 2. For one thing, we're seeing a lot more racial strife, 3R, day in and day out, especially on threads. You go on threads and you're gonna see the entire cesspool of humanity casually talking about type C, blaming people for race and religion and things that are beyond their control just because some people, for example, want to make money from affiliate marketing and see fit to blame Chinese people in order to achieve that goal. Now, if you're down for something a bit more meta, just think about what happened when people started talking about the 6,000 people who left. Look at all these people out there just saying, oh, thank you, congratulations, it's so amazing that you're all leaving. You cannot speak Malay, you don't respect Malays, you turn the flag in the opposite direction. While meanwhile, a whole bunch of people just complain constantly, the toxicity levels just going up, and pretty much making Malaysia a cesspool for everyone in the country. I mean, I said earlier that some people, they move to Malaysia for the sense of home, right? So then, like, do you see a home when you are looking at what's happening on threads? I don't. Of course, you can say that, like, maybe as a Malaysian, you can just, like, focus on your friends, right? Like, the actual bonds that you made, like, whether in high school or whether at work or whatever have you right there. But are you gonna say that, like, this sort of culture and the sorts of shifts that we see, right, don't matter? Because they do, right? Like, they affect how life is going to be, how demographics are going to be, and then like as people kind of like respond to what they see as fair or unfair in this country, right, then like the country is going to slowly change here and there. And if you're living in a world where all these people are just like entitled and saying that, oh look, it's great that you're leaving, it's not exactly the best for national sentiment, however much you get this thing correct. Another point I want to make is that, like, people in Malaysia are just not happy. Like, people in Malaysia often don't have civic awareness. Like, the kinds of discussions that you actually see on social media nowadays are just so toxic to the point that, like, you see all these people saying that they love Malaysia, while people are just casually throwing out the phrase pendatang here, there, and everywhere, right? Not even thinking about whether or not maybe they are creating a bad environment for people in this country. They don't know how to call people out. They don't know how to, like, take action in order to, like, stop people from actually doing this kind of, like, super sus thing. And I have no idea whether we're going to be able to actually get people to develop it before at some point or another the entire country is going to be hollowed out and you're going to be left with a whole country of losers before we can actually end up making something that's significant happen. But you know, I also want to talk about this idea that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I want to acknowledge that there are people like Zayani, whom I spoke to on my podcast just a couple of days ago, who come over to Malaysia because the grass in Singapore might be astroturf, it's too expensive, you can't afford it, you prefer to live in a 1.4 million villa start in Malaysia, no problem. I mean, like, cost of living is cheap here, and if you really want and you have like good friends and a good support network here, then yeah, like there's no problem with Malaysia at large, but you have to have a very high tolerance for bullshit, especially when you open up the news and you read through the articles, hoping to yourself that you're not getting gaslighted by the media because they copied and pasted everything wrongly. But you know, when I look at the future of this country, I think about a lot of things, you know, like about how our most productive people who are most able to actually create change in Malaysia are leaving, are not valued, and how there's no plan, or it seems like there's no plan in PKR, PAS, UMNO, or pretty much any political party to actually pass down leadership to a smarter generation of leaders so that they can actually do their miracle work. It's not like the PAP where they actually go out and then find a whole bunch of randos and then like put them into positions of power so they can actually develop the leadership experience. No, in Malaysia, it's like we're constantly asking,
last question about what will happen to PKR and PH after Anwar Ibrahim. God knows.
After Hadi, don't you dare, he's gonna die in this position. And nobody can actually have a reasonable conversation about this topic at all. So yeah, like, what's the plan of inheritance? Like, what's gonna happen to this country? Like, what if people become even more useless, unable to contribute to the economy, don't do family planning, and continue to create a chain of suffering for their children that is eventually gonna come and bite us when the national debt goes up? You know, as a personal matter, like for me, let me tell you that I spent the majority of my adult life and my years as a child leading up to being a teenager linking my identity to this place. Like, I've always seen this place as home. Like, I've always thought about Malaysia and the national flag as like the thing to define myself along. But you know, I find that as I get older, the more and more I think about how it might have been a bit different like just a year ago, but honestly, like all of this experience with like race and religion extremism has made me really very seriously consider where the other opportunities are going to come from out there. And I know I live a very comfortable life in Malaysia, but I'm starting to wonder what it would be like if I were to experience something else, to live somewhere else, to contribute to somewhere else, to have what I do be slightly more appreciated by the world as a whole, beyond the shores of Malaysia. So yeah, I mean, like, hopefully the right opportunity comes along. It could be from a random email, it could be from an Instagram story, it could be from you. But whatever it is, beyond my personal situation, the migrating thing is real, and at least in my opinion, like, if you really want to think about Malaysia as a country in any meaningful way in the next couple of years to come, we need to actually like think about this problem that we're facing right here, rather than treat it like the dog in the burning house. For those of you out there who are somehow happy about all of these developments that are going on right now, I don't know what's in it for you right here. Maybe you just feel that like, oh, finally the Malays or whatever race it is that you are going to get their own country right here. I mean, like, yeah, sure, like you can get your own country, but I guess the question is it going to be a successful country? I think that the answer is probably a no. Malaysia, as I've always understood it, was always designed to be a multicultural nation, and I think that the more you go away from that, the more the value proposition of this country just kind of like fades away. It disappears. You want to get an Islamic state or whatever it is right there, then I'm pretty sure that this country is going to end up dead because, for one thing, Sabah and Sarawak are not going to be down with it. More and more opportunities are going to move away, and this place is never going to go beyond the middle income trap and may actually regress. Once the data centers make use of our water, natural resources, and everything else, and we have nothing to really bind us together except for toxic nationalism and the common experience of being gaslighted. But you know, for those of you out there who actually still do believe somehow in the experience of having a good nation or building a good nation, I think that if ever you wanted to say anything to contribute to this country or to actually improve it, now is about the time to actually go out, say what you want to say, or forever hold your peace. Because I'm pretty sure that if you allow, I guess, Malaysia to continue festering in this echo chamber, then I think it's pretty clear that we're going to see more kids separated from their parents or bringing their parents over to live in other countries. Even as toxic people weaponize nationalism, talking about how, oh, they would never be loyal in the first place without realizing that they are toxic and they are a big part of the main problem in the first place. But yeah, I mean, like, what do you think, friends? Are there other reasons that I missed about why people are throwing away Malaysian citizenship? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That's all I have to say about that, and bye.